up on a corn and soybean farm in Minnesota. Pamela Ziemann was there when they introduced herbicides and pesticides to her family's farm in the late 60s. Nash was doing this in Illinois just when all of these things were happening. In 1984, she moved to Washington and has been educating herself on the harmful effects of chemicals in the environment. She also noticed the effects of chemicalized processed foods on her personal health. Her triglyceride count skyrocketed to over 400. Not wanting to take the medication her doctor insisted on, Pamela switched to a whole food, organic, plant-based diet. Her blood work returned to normal without any medication and in only 2.5 months. Now she's on a mission to help others return to a natural lifestyle, enjoying good quality and good tasting food. Pamela is a certified raw food chef and instructor from Living Light Culinary Arts Institute in Fort Bragg, California. She provides online and in-person events and is happy to share information on the raw food diet with you today. Please help me welcome Pamela.
And let's hear it for Patty. It takes a lot to have a space like this for all of us to gather and share information. And I just really want to say thank you, Patty, and thank you to Nash's for opening up. I mean, this is their store, and they've carved out a little space for us here. You know, it's not easy for checkout people and all of that, so I really appreciate. And you guys, you totally inspire me when I've been giving these talks to see how many people are interested in taking back their health. It's like, I think we've been outsourcing this for a little bit too long. Yeah, and it's been said that there's no money in healthy people. There's no money in dead people. They make all the money on the people in between. The United States spent $2.2 trillion on health care, and yet we've never been sicker. We've never been more overweight. So it's pretty interesting to me. And when I first started getting into raw foods, I would hear people say, I cured my diabetes. And I would go, wow, really? And now I'm like, yeah, you know, it happens all the time. It's just like a no-brainer. When we give our bodies that which it is designed for, when we get closer to nature, we have fewer health problems. So it is amazing what happens with people when they start incorporating more plant-based raw foods in their diets. So let me just get a little take on the audience here. How many of you are on raw foods like 100%? You are, right? 95. 95, that's great. How long?
Just a couple months.
A couple of months? Okay.
Probably 6 months more.
Okay, and what would you say, like, are you about 50% raw fruits and vegetables? About 50%, I see some heads nodding. Yeah, about 50%. I'm not 100% raw. I believe very strongly in 51% and greater. Summertime, I'm 70, 80% raw, and it's very easy. And then I also have plant-based whole foods in the wintertime. I make my soups, and you'll find that it depends how long you cook it and how high the temperature is on how long you destroy the enzymes and all of that. So what we're going to talk about in the next 45 minutes or so is how we got to this place. You know, America, most countries, how did we get here? We'll talk about that for a little while. We'll talk about the benefits of the raw food diet. And there are so many, but I wanted to narrow it down to enzymes, fiber, and the alkalinity of raw food. And then the challenge of change. Like most of us know, yeah, we should be eating more raw fruits and vegetables. But how do we get through that mindset of the old paradigm that's been in our families for generations? My grandmother was pretty much all packaged food. You know, some of you had different backgrounds, but for the last 3 generations, we've been really into the packaged kind of food. So that's what we'll talk about today. And would that be of value to you? Here's some of those thoughts. Before we dive in, I would like to just invite you to close your eyes for a minute. Just close your eyes, take a mini spa break, and just notice your breath. You don't have to change your breath, but just notice how you're breathing. And if you let that breath start at the base of your spine and then just breathe all the way up your spine and breathe it out through the top of your head, and just imagine that air coming out, because that is what connects all of us, that air. All of us. And if you're anything like me, I wondered if I really belonged on this planet. So just to give you a little idea, your indication is if gravity is taking you down right now, you belong on this planet. You especially belong on this planet because our planet really needs people that will turn it around. So just wiggle your toes a little bit, make sure you're in your body, wiggle your fingers, let the weight of your body just sink down into the chair. And the reason I have you do this is because most of us have been living from the neck up. We've been living in our heads a lot, and we forget we have the rest of this body. And there's so much body-mind intelligence in the rest of our body. So let's make sure, and you can even imagine, if you will, like breathing from your heart. Some of you may be doing that already, and some of you have to take that little elevator ride down from this busy, busy mind down into your heart. And I think if more of us lived in that space of the heart, we would not even fathom doing some of the things that have been done to animals, the earth, to each other when we're living in the heart. So it's a matter of bringing our mind down into our hearts and living from that space. So, thank you. You guys feel great. You really do. You feel so good and energized and just wanting to learn. That inspires me so much. How we got to this place, I'll tell you just a little bit. As Patty mentioned, I was raised on a corn and soybean farm in Minnesota. We had cattle, we had dairy cattle, and we walked the beans. Do any of you know what that term means, walking the beans? You do? You're from the Midwest? Indiana. So you go out, you wake up as a little kid, and your mom says, get up, we're going to go walk the beans. And walking the beans means that you got up out of your bed and you walked up and down, miles and miles of corn and soybeans, and you pulled the leaves by hand. In fact, I was so little that they couldn't see my head. They would know where I was because a big ear of corn, big stalk of corn would come tumbling down. And they said, oh, she's over there, because we'd be pulling the leaves by hand. Now you might ask, how do farmers even fathom bringing in chemicals? You know, chemicals like this particular company also introduced DDT and Agent Orange to us, and they said it was safe, the same company. How does that happen? I asked my parents, I asked my mom, I said, what was it like, you know, in the late 60s when all of a sudden they brought in these chemicals? And my mom, wonderful woman, said, honestly, to us, it seemed like a godsend because it was so convenient. You just sprayed, and that, rather than walking up and down, you just, you know, got on the truck and you just sprayed. So these good-hearted, decent people bought into this whole thing of chemicalizing our food, and now we can't even, you know, save the seed. It's really gotten completely out of hand, which most of you know. So we got into it for convenience sake, and now that also leads us to convenient foods. Convenient foods. People want, you know, like you said, I want to make sure it's easy. People say, you show me a way that I can do that is easy, and I'll be straight with you. Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes to grab an apple or a banana is very easy. Other times it's difficult. It is difficult when you go out to restaurants and things like that. It's a whole different paradigm shift of changing from this way of thinking into another way of thinking. Convenient foods. How can we be talked into it? Well, I'll tell you that General Mills and some of those companies, they actually have food scientists that rate the bliss factor. So they know that in our DNA, we want to taste fat and salt and sugar. That is what Doug Lyle calls the pleasure trap. And so the more of that they can put in, the more we want that stuff. And most people, when I gave this talk back in Minnesota in my little small farming community, raw foods, they don't have the fat and salt and sugar in that taste buds are used to. And so people, when your taste buds have been hijacked, at first it doesn't taste good. But I'll tell you, if you've been doing this too, don't your taste buds change? Absolutely. After about 21 days, now when I go into a restaurant and it's that oily, like I used to have this eggplant at this Thai place that I loved, and it was so oily and I loved it. Now, I'm like, it just tastes like goo in my mouth. It tastes like something I would put in my vehicle, you know? And it's really funny how your taste buds will change. And so how can we learn how to do this in a society that's got us on the hamster wheel? Not all of us, but some of us are just on that, gotta make the money, you gotta get away, you got, and you're moving so fast, so fast. It's like, now you expect me to spend an hour making this thing? So it can be difficult, but I'm gonna show you some ways to make it easier today. I was in a store, I will not mention any names, but there's one of those moon pies. Maybe you've seen it, the moon pies. I looked at the ingredients and I'm like, people are still eating this? I'm just like, and believe me, I was one of them. I was totally one of them. If people who knew me then could see me now, they wouldn't even believe I was the same person, because I, like many people on this planet, said, I don't want to keep going back to the grocery store every couple of days. Come on. So I would go there and I would pick all the stuff off the shelf that would last me the longest. It would just last me a really long time and I wouldn't have to go back. It was easy. Betty Crocker was not a person. Yeah. She was a marketing ploy to get us to buy into this stuff. Yeah, so I was way away from the salad bar. I did not want any of that stuff, and I'll share with you how I got into it and how I kind of tricked my body into wanting. Well, I didn't trick my body, I tricked my mind into wanting more, but my body knows what it wants. And I'll tell you, once I went raw, and the reason I went raw was I was giving a talk on something totally unrelated, and I was looking out in the audience, and I was looking at everybody talking about this other subject, and I saw this one guy, and this guy was like alive. His skin was glowing. He had so much radiance just pouring out of him that I said to him afterwards, I said, what are you doing? And he didn't, preach a lot about it, but he goes, I just do mainly raw food. And he left it at that. Whatever that guy has, I want that. Because I looked around and most people you see is kind of like half alive, but not really. And he just had this glow. And the human potential that is available to us is unbelievable, what our bodies are capable of doing. So I got into raw foods, and at the time I wasn't even trying to lose weight, but I dropped 20 pounds just like that. It just fell off when I got away from the packaged foods, because the packaged foods, your body is saying, what is that thing? I don't know what to do with that. So I'll just put it over there. And the packaged foods got rid of that, just dropped. And it wasn't even hard to do, it just fell off. So it's amazing. Let's get into the benefits of raw foods. Enzymes. Enzymes are the life force. Sometimes people call raw foods live food, which I actually think is a better title. It's alive. So if you have berries here, these are still alive, right? They're still alive. And the enzymes, that's a catalyst. It's like every metabolic function in our body, blinking our eyes, digestion, breathing, heart, all of it. The enzymes help that. And I like what Chris Parr said in her book, Crazy Sexy Diet. She had this analogy of you're born with a bank account of enzymes. And the more cooked foods we eat, we deplete that more and more and more and more. So when you're eating live foods, you're building up that bank account. And when you say, man, the person has so much energy, it's probably because of their enzyme count. You just have more of that working for them. It doesn't tax your body so much. Alrighty, so I'm going to show you something. Here, you can pass around these lentils. These are live. Somebody said earlier, Ted is gone now, but he said, well, you got to cook lentils. Actually, you don't. French green lentils, you can sprout. These have been sprouted in water overnight, and this is the perfect size of the sprout. If they get longer than that, you lose the nutritional value of them. I'll just leave them up here. Pass them around later. Or do you want to see them?
Yeah,
You want to see them? Okay. There you go. Now let's get to some of the equipment. Trust me, folks, I am a minimalist. I do not like a lot of stuff, but I do like stuff that helps me make this faster. And some of the things I brought today, I just want to show you because it will make your life so much easier. For example, one of the most popular things I have in my classes is the Ben Reiner Cook's Helper. Ben Reiner Cook's Helper. So for those of you who are gluten sensitive, or those of you who just want to get more raw, live fruit in your diet, you can make noodles out of this. And if you want to stand up in the back so you can see it, go ahead. If you want to come around here more, that's what's cool. I'm going to take a zucchini and cut off the ends. Now you don't want it higher than this because it won't fit in there. You ever see one of these, Patty? All right. This is a Ben Reiner Cook's Helper. And I list all this stuff on my website because a lot of times people are asking about it. I got this on Amazon, and there are some kitchen stores that have them. Amazon is about half price. It's about $45 if I'm right. Okay, so here's what you do. You put the zucchini, and if you wanted pure white noodles, like you're having somebody over and they just really want pasta, you can peel it so it's all white. But I personally like the skin. There's a lot of vitamins and nutrients in there. All right, so you just pop that in there, and you just spin it around. Now you guys, can you see them coming out? Yeah. If you have kids, I will. If you have kids, they love doing this. I was working at the Boys and Girls Club, and they said, those kids are never going to eat raw zucchini with marinara sauce. And I said, just watch. And they all loved it. Because you know why? They were involved and they were making it. Okay, so here you go. That's what it looks like. And even if you wanted to heat up your marinara sauce, go ahead and heat it up. I mean, if you stick your finger in there and it's not over 100 degrees, the enzymes are still live because enzymes live up to 115, 118 degrees. So pour a little of that over. You know, sometimes I have it warmed up. Sometimes I just pour it on raw, and it's great. Really super delicious. You're always going to have a little stub. That's just how the machine works, but you can eat that. Okay, so you put it on there. Put it on the prong right there. Right in the center. Secure that in place. And it's kind of an equal amount of pressure going down. You don't want to push it too hard, but you want to give it a little bit more pressure than that. And you know what I love about this machine? Some of them go out the side, but some of them go down like this. I pass the plates around, and everybody does their own. So for those of you thinking I spend too much time in the kitchen, delegation is the key. Delegate, you know, and then they love it too. People really love doing this stuff. And you just slice a little zucchini like that, pass this thing around, and they've done their own noodles. And you don't stand over a pot of boiling hot water trying to get the pasta just right. This way they're getting the raw enzymes, they're getting more vitamins, more minerals because it's raw. Okay, I think that's good. Excellent! Look at that! Huh? Nice job. Thank you, thank you. Here, you want this stove? You can if you want. I mean, you could just do a quick knife through it, and I'll show you that with the beet in a minute. Just do a shorter segment. Yeah. Yeah, but most people like to twirl it, you know, and really get into the whole, and you can start talking with your hands and do all that. Okay, so here's the beet. Beautiful, beautiful Chiyoga beet. So what's the flavor like? It's a little bit sweeter than... Okay. Yeah. And so many times people have told me, I do not like raw beef. I won't eat them. I've had so many people in my classes, and here's the trick. You've got to have it really fine. You can't have a big chunk of something and expect people to like that. So when I was at the culinary school, Sherry Sorio is the founder. She's like 65 to 70 probably, and she looks like she's 40 tops. She looks awesome. Anyway, when she was cutting and she was showing us some knife skills, and I watched her, she was like cutting it so fine, but she was very fast at the same time. Once you get the knife skills down, it becomes a lot easier. You know, I watched my poor mom in the kitchen. I'm like, God, you know, it's like, no wonder you hate to do this. It takes forever. But then you watch somebody with beautiful, nice skills, they can be really fast. Or also something like this. This will make it really very fun. Now let me show you the detail. And then you can do this with like turnip, you can do it with different kinds of vegetables to get all the different colors. And the taste is awesome because it is so finely cut. Yeah, the mouthfeel, everything. Check it out. And so like you were saying before, I cut these when I'm doing salad wraps or something like that, salad rolls. I'll cut it up because otherwise it's too much. You get a bite of that and yellow. Is that beautiful or what? That was just one little beet too. This can make a lot. So you can make a salad, you can make salad rolls. I show a lot of these different things in my classes, but it gives you an idea how you can get more raw food in your diet very quickly. Now my nephews back in Minnesota, they put this stuff in a baggie and take it to school because it's so cool. You know, it's just so cool and nobody else has it, you know? They're eating their Lunchables, you know, which is like, hello, Lunchables. But anyway, it's fun. You can tell I can just play with this stuff all day. I love it. Okay, so the enzymes and the vitamins as well in raw food. You know, a lot of us have been under a lot of stress. Well, maybe not you guys so much, but I feel stressed. And I feel a lot of people around me. I look at people driving, and there's stress in the world. And vitamin C helps the adrenal system a lot. And so when we cook things, it destroys up to half the vitamin C that our body is desperate for. Just the other day I was sauteing some portobello mushrooms and I had a yellow pepper and I almost put it in there. And I thought, no, and I just ate it raw. So much better. You know, why would I want to cook this beautiful vegetable? And you know, sometimes you go, oh my gosh, $3.50 or $4 for a yellow organic pepper. I didn't think that, but I'm like, it is so worth it. How much do we spend on pharmaceuticals? You know, and these really great organic fruits and vegetables, not only are you getting more nutrients yourself, you're not getting the pesticides, but you're supporting the organic farmers. You're saying, I vote for this. And I think it's just so important. In fact, I'll just do a little confession right here. Okay, little confession. When people say to me, organic food costs so much, I kind of want to slap them. I mean, not to hurt them, but just kind of wake them up. You know, wake up! You know, $2.2 trillion versus an extra, not that much more for organic. You know, it's like we really, what I've learned so much over the years is a lot about food, but it's really about self-love. How much are we able and willing to receive love? And it really comes down to food. We eat 3 times a day, most of us, and we're voting every time. So you guys are probably real cool with, you know, paying a little bit more for organic, but just encourage others too. I like to, whenever I can, just share the benefits. You know, you're getting so many more nutrients. You're supporting this way of life. You are supporting freedom. I could go on and on about that, but I think you get the idea. Okay, so let's go on to fiber. Now, fiber, if any of you are trying to lose any weight at all, this is the key. This is totally the key because our bodies feel full and we don't eat so much. And the fiber, when I think about these lentils and these little lentils that I sprout at home, and you can do it too, maybe you are, but there's as much protein, almost identical as the same size of meat as beef, right? Same amount of protein. The difference, however, is this has fiber and the meat has no fiber. This is alkaline. When it's sprouted, it becomes alkaline. The meat is acidic, and cancer loves acid, right? That's the environment. So, and I'm thinking it's better for the environment, better all the way around. I think lentils are the best kept secret ever. You know, to be able to keep these in your cupboard, have them handy whenever you want, just sprout them and eat them. Now, like I said, I don't do 100% raw, but if I make some miso soup or something like that, then I'll toss these in at the very end. Or if I'm making a salad, I'll throw them in. So you don't necessarily have, I mean, this is my thought on it anyway. Some people are diehard 100%, and that's great. But I figure if you get more and more of the raw food in, and this is one way to do it, rather than put these in your casserole or your soup or whatever, sprout them, toss them in at the end, all the enzymes will still be live and active. The alkalinity is the next thing I want to talk about, and that is that most people in America haven't had any alkalizing food in their body for months. And I probably was one of them back in college or whatever. If you think about going through a drive-thru, you get a hamburger, meat's acid, grains acid, french fries are acid, and then the Coke you drink has acid, the apple pie at the end, acid, milkshake, all acid, 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 acid. So when then you go, here, how about some kale? And the kids go, ew! There's a reason, because their taste buds are hijacked and they're used to all of the acid stimulating foods rather than this great stuff. I'm going to share with you my secret, how I learned to love this and how I learned to, I mean, I don't want to use the word crave, but honestly, if I don't have this for a couple of days, I get a little bit like, I need it. I want some kale. I feel I haven't had a salad for a while. And how I did it, this might seem really crazy to you guys, but it worked for me. I put chocolate hemp milk in here with the frozen banana and then some spinach. And then I used kale. It's really important to vary up the greens. And then I would drink that down. You don't taste it at all. And then my body started wanting it. It was so crazy. Because I drink the stuff, you can't taste the spinach or the kale, whatever you put in there. And pretty soon I wanted more of it. It's like my body was saying, oh, what's that? I need more of that stuff. So, would you mind grabbing your names out of the picture? I put it here a little bit. I'm a big believer in steaming things too. Steaming cauliflower, broccoli. You really, and the more you do this diet, the more your body will start to tell you what it wants. It's funny, it's not the old way of my body tells me I need a hamburger. No, that's just an addiction. You know, that's just an addiction. You want to get over that, but when you've been on raw foods for a long time, thank you. Oh. But when you've been on raw foods for a while, you will start to intuitively feel, like I was in the store the other day and I'm like, cauliflower. I'm like, I wasn't going to get that today. Cauliflower. It's just like, it can't tell me, get it. And I'm like, okay, so I got the cauliflower and all of that. I eat it and it's like really great. So these, like I said, are a few of the things, but mental clarity, listening to your intuition, feeling more connected spiritually. I mean, it all comes into play. Feeling more connected to the earth, feeling more connected to other people. It just happens. I don't know how it happens, but it does. Everyone I talk to. This Blend Tech has 3 horsepower. It's got 3 horses pulling you, right? That's a lot of power. You know the Space Needle in Seattle? That revolving restaurant? You know what powers that whole revolving restaurant on top of Space Needle? 1.5 horsepower. So this is double what the Seattle Space Needle has for power. Okay, so you take the kale, and some people, I understand, they like the stems. For me, they're just a little too bitter, so I pull them off. You do whatever you want. If you like the stems in there, go for it. But this is a real easy way. You just put your thumb and your forefinger around it, and just pull it off. You know, for a long time I was using a knife. Hello? A knife. You don't need it, you just pull it apart. So I'll just put 3 in there and you can see how finely it's chopped up. You can see when kids drink this stuff, they don't even taste the kale. Some people say, I like the taste of kale. I don't want to despise it. Well, that's cool. But if you got some kids, and kids, you see, have this intuitive piece of them that says some bitters are poisonous. And so if we're going, eat it, eat it, eat it, and they're like, no, poisonous, you know, they have to kind of learn what is poisonous and what's not. When I heard that, I'm like, oh, I can't be so hard on kids, you know, who don't like greens or people. Okay, so now let's put in some of the wonderful raspberries from Nash's. Now you know what happens when you mix green with red. It's brown. So it's not gonna look that beautiful. It's not gonna look like a real frothy. It's almost one to escape. But then, yeah, we'll turn brown. So what some people do is they'll have a colored glass. So it's not, like, I don't even see the color really because I know what's in there and I love it. But my sister works in the medical establishment and they give her such a hard time. They go, oh, there's Jackie with her drink again. And I'm like, whoa, she's trying to be a trailblazer here and she's really working it. And that's what we're going to get into in a minute, the challenges and how to go through change when 95% of the population is telling you you're crazy. Okay, and I have some frozen bananas here too. With the bananas, you may know this. If you don't, you want to peel them first and then trace them. Yeah? Frozen bananas, you're going to get that creamy ice cream. If you don't put as much liquid in, it is like ice cream. I mean, you want to eat it right away, but it is so delicious. No artificial hormones, none of that stuff, no exploitation, anything. It's just straight, really good for you. Okay. So any questions on the high-speed blender? It goes 300 miles an hour. So with juicing, if you want to really heal a health problem, go with the juice because that goes right into your system. This, you get the fiber with it. Okay, so that's one of the main differences there. Okay, great. Now I want to show you one other thing, only because I learned this from Dr. Joel Furman. Any fans out there? Joel Furman, yeah, he's awesome, isn't he? Love that guy. Have you seen this? Okay, he showed me this. It's like, okay, I gotta get that. And really, I don't like a lot of stuff, but if it's gonna help me cut an onion faster, I'm gonna get it. Okay, so who wants to play around with this? Yeah, I'll show you first, and then you come up and do this. This is how it works. You put the onion on top. Okay, you put it in like this, right? There you go. And you put it down, and you go. And you have all chopped onions. Hello? Make some mango salsa out of this. You're good to go. And I'm like, oh, onions. Like, I see this, like, okay, I'm going to get one more tool for my kitchen. So Joel Furman sells this on his website if you want one. Okay, so you got it. Are you feeling strong and everything? Put it on something stable. Put it down, and then just take your fist. Awesome. Very good. So it's all chopped. I didn't invent it, but I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, I would just go to Joel Furman, F-U-H-R-M-A-N. I think it's drfurman.com. It's called the Vidalia Chop Wizard. Those are some of the benefits of raw food. Let's talk about the challenge of going through change. Okay? So you guys are all like, just trailblazers. You just because you're here tells me you're a trailblazer. And when you're blazing a trail, it's not always that easy because you're the only one out there. You're the only one out there in a lot of different cases, and people go, wah, and you're like, it's over here. I know it's over here. And so you keep going. The challenge of change. I've been a vegan for vegetarian since the 70s, vegan since 4 or 5 years or so. So that part has come easy for me because I just love animals. So it's a no-brainer for me. But when I moved over to Swim, changes, I started to realize when people are going through a change that's been in place for a long time, these are some tips that can help. Because when I thought about moving over here, I thought first tip is you gotta know what you want and why you want it. Okay, with your food, think about it. Know what do you want? You want what percent raw? What percent do you want? And why do you want it? The why is what will keep you going. Okay? I knew when I came over here to visit my friends, Ralph and Carol, Precious Life Animal Sanctuary, every time I drove over here, I thought, man, I'm breathing deeper over here, and I'm smiling more, and I feel better. And I thought, why am I not living here? And so I had to keep focused on that because people told me, less informed people, there's nothing to do over there. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I've been here a month and I am so busy and there's so much really great activity. crazy. But anyway, people will tell you that. And so you have to stay focused with your food choices, stay focused. You almost like blinders on. What do you want? Why do you want it? And then the obstacles. Others want to cling to status quo. There's a part of us that wants to cling to the status quo too. Because our ego is safe with the familiar. The ego says, you know what Bellevue's all about. You know that there's a Whole Foods here. You know that this is this. My own ego is going, are you sure? Are you sure? So obstacles will come up. What else do people tell me? This one guy at the park goes, it's so windy in Sequim. I'm like, I've been there a few times. I haven't noticed it, but okay. But people will always tell you why not to do it. They're trying to protect us. You don't need to go, with that kind of diet. You don't need to do that. Just come on, we're going to wherever. So just realize that they're in protection mode. They're trying to keep you safe. They're trying to keep you in the familiar. So some of this stuff with diet is kind of radical. If you think about it, it isn't, but yet it is. When you say to people, like at the culinary school, one of the nutritionists said, it takes me a half an hour to make my salad. It takes me a half an hour to eat my salad. That's my hour lunch. And at the time, I'm like, seriously? An hour? And that's what I do now. And I just realized either I'll put on a documentary or something, and I just cut it out. And I learned some stuff at the same time, but it doesn't seem radical to me anymore. At the time, it did, because I wasn't used to spending the time that it takes. And then take action. So you have to not just read about it. I know some people I love very much. I was one of them too, who would read all this stuff and go, that makes sense. I read Dr. Furman's book. I read this. Makes sense. Really good. Really good. And they don't do anything different. They keep eating the same way. And I did too for a while. But then, even like moving out here, I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do, So I go, I could rent my own truck. And I go, could I do that? I was on U-Haul site going, okay, a 10-foot truck, could I fit all my stuff in there? And I can't, because I'm a minimalist. This stuff took half of the truck. But I said, can I do that? And so rather than just reading, I just drove down there. I sat in the 10-foot truck. My little dog was over there. And I go, we could do this. We could do this. It feels comfortable. So take action. Start making some of this stuff. If you haven't already, just pull out a recipe. There's so many of them, and just try it. Just take action, because if you're ever feeling a little bit, I don't know what the word is, not fearful, but just like struggling, action is the key. Take some kind of action, and you will pop yourself out of that indecisiveness. At least you will know, I'm going to do that again. I'm not going to do that again. Living lasagna takes 4 hours. I don't know. It's got to be a real special day for that one, But at least you gather more information. And the thing that I love doing is not only showing recipes, but to inspire people to start on this journey, because your life will completely change in almost every way you can imagine. And to inspire people, keep them on it, because it's easy to get jazzed and get, oh, I'm going to go do this, and then after a week your friends go, let's go to this restaurant, and the restaurant is crap, and you're going, oh, my friends, oh, what do I do? So to keep people inspired on that path is one of my goals. And also, how do you talk about this stuff? People will say, I'm from the Midwest. I am from cattle country big time. Dairy country. I was actually a contestant for the Dairy Princess of Martin County. I had to, because my dad was a dairy farmer. It was a given. You just do it. And I hated every minute of it, But I was up there. And so how do you talk to people? How do I go back to Minnesota? And, you don't want to burn bridges. You want to connect with people. You want to keep that connection strong. So and I've been doing communication skills for about 10 years. And there is a way, it's like an art form to not push people away, but yet to speak your truth. What do you feel? How can you respect yourself enough to say, these are my values, and these are my values. This is what I'm going to do. And so a lot of us hold that back, and I think it's time for a revolution, and it's time that we really learn how to speak up and say what we really feel. So if any of you are interested, I'll pass out these flyers. I've got a 5-week course coming up, pass them around. And just, send me an email or give me a phone call, and I would love to see you there. It's going to be at Nourish Swim. Have you been up there?
Yeah.
Oh, don't you love it? I am so grateful they are here. They are awesome people. Their vision is amazing. They're all about bringing community together and, just helping each other rather than trying to get a bigger piece of the pie. They're like, let's create a bigger pie, man. Let's all work together. So they are very, most of all, this is about food, but it's really about love. Do it from a loving place, not because you're afraid of getting some disease, okay? I listened to the speaker, and she wrote a book called Dying to Be Me, and she said she went through a near-death experience. And when she did that, she said she realized all of her decisions were made out of fear. Oh no, I don't want to get that. I gotta eat this. I gotta eat this way. Don't do that. Just do it out of love, because that overrides any kind of nutrition, I believe, and that is available to us. Love overrides all. Comments? Yeah?
What kind of salad dressing do you put on your salad?
Oh, salad dressing. I'm so glad you asked. I dedicate a whole afternoon to making different salad dressings because that is my mission in life, is to get people off toxic crap bottled salad dressing. They are lethal. They're filled with chemicals, emulsifiers, all this stuff, preservatives. So a basic thing, you want some kind of fat. Like I don't use processed oils. I use like the avocado or nuts or something like that, a whole plant-based food. And then you want some kind of like acid, like a vinegar. You can get balsamic, or you can get fig vinegar, orange vinegar. Yeah, right. So you have fat and acid and a liquid of some kind. You can use a pasta sauce or something like that. I make some really great ones. People in my class, they all go for homework and they experiment and make their own, and then they come back and share it. And it's so empowering because you know that you can take whatever's in your kitchen and mix it up yourself. And you know you have something sweet, sour, salty, bitter. If you put all this together, you're going to be okay. So you become like a little chemist in your own kitchen. I love making my own salad dressings now. Thank you all for being here. Best of luck to you. Happy, healthy eating, and I hope to connect with you in the future. Thank you.
Take